In case you missed it, the news reported today that Melly will have a new bond hearing for his retrial on July 9th, according to the latest court documents. This could be Melly's final shot at getting released on bond. Many believe this is his strongest chance yet. His mother, Jamie King, spoke out and shared some updates. She said, "We are still praying. I know I promised to keep everyone informed, and right now, we are just waiting. Thank you all." She explained that the judge is expected to issue a written order, but no one knows exactly when. It could come at any moment, or maybe tomorrow. "We are just waiting. That's all we can do, keep praying and keep believing," she added emotionally. At one point, she tried to comfort someone named Tessa who had also been crying, saying, "It has been a long journey." But then, something troubling happened. Prosecutors took a bold step that raised concerns. According to the report, a no communication order was filed in the Melly case. This means that Melly and Bortland are now completely blocked from talking to each other. No conversations. No legal discussions, nothing at all. Just silence. Prosecutors are now pushing hard to pressure Bortland into turning against Melly by trying them together in the upcoming trial. The state hopes to gain an advantage. It saves time, money, and effort. No need to go through two separate court processes. More importantly, it gives the prosecution a better shot at making one of them testify against the other during the trial. That strategy could work in their favor. On the flip side, Melly's defense team wants the trials to be separated. If that happens, it allows each side to shift blame and possibly escape harsher punishment. But just because the prosecution is seeking the death penalty for Melly does not mean the trials should automatically be split. That penalty only comes into play after the guilt phase. If Melly is found guilty, both men are facing serious charges for capital crimes, and the guilt phase would be the same for both. Only the punishment phase would differ, depending on the verdict. Still, if Bortland knows deep down that he was not responsible for the murders, it is hard to imagine him quietly accepting a life sentence. That makes it very likely he could testify against Melly to save himself. And he is not the only one the state is pressuring. Melly's ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, is also being dragged into the case. Mariah had been hiding outside the United States since Melly's original trial, refusing to show up in court even though she was expected to testify. She was considered a missing witness and wanted by the police. But this week, her run ended. U.S. Border Patrol arrested her at Miami International Airport after she arrived on an international flight. She was booked into Broward County Jail, the first time she has ever been arrested. Court documents reveal that Mariah was ordered to testify at Melly's first trial in 2023. She avoided it. But now the judge has made a deal with her. She can be released, but only if she agrees to testify at the upcoming trial. After her arrest, she posted on Facebook, thanking her support system and writing, "God's plan, not mine." Authorities reportedly found evidence in Mariah's iCloud account connected to Melly, because she avoided testifying before. Melly is now being charged with witness tampering, a serious charge that could lock him up for life, no matter the outcome of his murder case. And that is not the only trouble he is in. Prosecutors have filed 6 new charges against Melly and 2 others. These include witness tampering, leading criminal activity, criminal solicitation, conspiracy to tamper with a witness, and illegally using a two-way communication device. Some of these new charges carry potential life sentences if convicted. Importantly, these new charges are separate from the original double murder case involving Zach Hazer and Juvie. Prosecutors claim Melly used jail phones to interfere with witnesses, which could deepen his legal problems even further. Melly has been kept from using the phone for over a year now. His mother is heartbroken and frustrated, saying it is not fair. "My son has not been convicted of anything," she said. "Even inmates who have been convicted still get phone privileges. They are allowed to write letters, receive mail, and stay connected to family. But they hold my son's mail, they do not give it to him." If the accusations are true that Melly used jail phones to interfere with witnesses, that could explain why they blocked his access. Still, what might truly seal Melly's fate is what Bortland decides to say in court. Prosecutors are trying to get Bortland to point the finger at Melly, the same way Melly reportedly tried to blame Bortland during the first trial. Back then, Melly's story made it seem like Bortland was responsible. Cortland Henry, also known as Bortland, was seen arriving at Memorial Hospital with the car carrying 2 bodies. He was in the driver's seat. The car was filled with bullet holes, and when he showed up, he had a fresh change of clothes and signs of gunpowder on his hands. evidence suggesting he had fired a gun. He also gave false information about where and how the shooting happened and denied having a phone on him. Even though, as one witness pointed out, everyone had a phone except him. Court records now confirm that it was named Cortland Henry who misled federal investigators during the early stages of the case. Not only did he give false statements, but he was also the last person seen with the victims, YNW Sackhazer and YNW Juvie, just before their deaths. Investigators revealed damning forensic evidence. Traces of gunshot residue were discovered on both of Bortland's hands. His right hand showed some residue particles, while his left hand had even more. To law enforcement, this indicated he had either fired a weapon or was very close to one being fired. Despite this physical evidence, Bortland continued to deny involvement, but the weight of suspicion clearly bothered him. After YNW Melly's first trial ended in a mistrial, Bortland made a cryptic post on social media that caught everyone's attention. He tweeted, "Mind games don't work on people like me," and added a handshake emoji. Some people read it as a shot at Melly's legal team. Others thought it hinted that Bortland might be ready to flip, possibly even cooperate with prosecutors to avoid taking the fall. Meanwhile, Melly's legal team has been working around the clock to prevent their client from spending another year behind bars without bond. They know the pressure is growing with every court appearance, especially as the public and prosecutors turn up the heat. Understanding that Melly's image has taken serious hits, his lawyers put together a carefully designed bond proposal meant to reassure the court. According to multiple news reports, Melly's defense attorneys submitted a plan that included strict supervision if bond were granted. The highlight of the proposal was that Melly's record label, 300 Entertainment, had agreed to cover whatever amount the court set for his bond. That kind of backing showed the court that Melly had financial support and could be closely monitored. The proposal also stated that Melly would be placed under house arrest at a secure location. He would wear an ankle monitor 24/7, ensuring his exact movements could be tracked at all times. On top of that, he would pay for private security round-the-clock guards to ensure he followed all court orders. The entire bond package was crafted to convince the judge that Melly posed no threat to the public and would fully comply with any restrictions. The security team would be under court-approved supervision, and their role would be to ensure that Melly had no opportunity to interfere with witnesses or flee the state. It was a tightly structured plan with multiple layers of accountability. The motion sparked conversation across social media. Some fans were skeptical, but many rallied behind Melly. One rapper even posted, "That boy Melly coming home, I feel it." The post went viral, reflecting how divided public opinion had become. On one hand, there were people who believed Melly was innocent and being held unfairly. On the other, critics pointed to the growing pile of digital evidence, text messages, phone logs, and videos that painted a very different picture. What makes the situation more complicated is that while Melly has not been convicted, he remains at the center of a very serious double murder case. Even worse, separate from the original charges, he is now also facing witness tampering accusations. Prosecutors claim Melly used jail phones to try to influence witnesses, which would be a felony on its own and could land him a life sentence regardless of the outcome of the murder trial. So, the stakes are incredibly high for Melly, and his defense knows it. They are walking a tightrope trying to argue that he deserves bond, while also pushing back against serious allegations that he has tried to manipulate the justice system from behind bars. Still, Melly's team has leaned heavily on the argument that he is being treated unfairly compared to other inmates. His mother has voiced deep concern over how he is being handled in jail. She says he is denied basic rights like phone calls, letters, and even receiving mail. She believes the Broward Sheriff's Office is acting outside the law, making up rules that target her son specifically. "It is heartbreaking," she said in one emotional interview. "My son has not even been convicted of anything, yet he is being treated like he has already been sentenced." In their view, denying bond under such conditions not only punishes Melly before a verdict is reached, but also violates his rights as someone who is still presumed innocent under the law. They argue that other inmates, some already convicted, get more privileges than Melly does while awaiting trial. As the July 9th bond hearing approaches, all eyes are once again turning to the courtroom. Will the judge side with Melly's defense and grant him a chance to fight his case from home under strict monitoring? Or will the state's mounting concerns about witness tampering, public safety, and unresolved questions keep him locked behind bars? One thing is certain. With Bortland possibly flipping, new charges being filed, and fresh evidence still surfacing, This case is far from over, and the decisions made in the coming weeks could change everything for YNW Melly. Melly's legal team also brought up how poorly he has been treated behind bars. They claim his conditions are inhumane and that this treatment breaks the law. When Melly recently spoke out, saying he was scared and had been hurt in jail, his mother said it crushed her. "It is heartbreaking. As a mother, I feel completely helpless," she said. She believes the Broward Sheriff's Office is abusing its power, adding, "They are just making up rules as they go." She explained that even when they tried to take the issue to court, the judge admitted he had no control over jail operations. They had already held a hearing, but nothing changed. Melly's mother has continued to speak out with growing frustration, voicing serious concerns about how her son is being treated behind bars. According to her, the jail is not following proper procedures and is making up rules as they go, rules that seem targeted specifically at her son. "It feels like they are just making up their own rules," she said in an emotional statement. "That is not right. Someone needs to hold them accountable." Her words reflect the pain and helplessness of a mother watching her child face extreme conditions without being found guilty of anything yet. She believes the justice system is punishing him before a verdict has even been reached. One of the main arguments in Melly's defense is based on GPS evidence that, according to his legal team, shows he was not near the scene of the crime at the time the murders occurred. This data reportedly shows Melly running down the street and hiding in a bush during the time the shots were fired. He also made a phone call during this time, explaining to someone that he thought he was being followed. "There's a car coming," he reportedly said during the call. "I think they're still out here." His tone, according to that call, seemed nervous, like he was afraid and unsure of what was going on around him. When the person on the other end of the call asked about SAC and juvie, Melly's response was vague and unclear. "I don't know if they're still in the car. I think they are," he said. That small exchange has become an important detail in the case, as it could be used to support the argument that Melly was not in control of the vehicle or directly involved in the shooting. This GPS evidence is being used by Melly's defense as part of their broader claim that Melly was not the shooter. Instead, they suggest he was trying to get away from danger, possibly even targeted in the same attack that took the lives of his friends. They believe that if the jury sees the timeline and location data clearly, it will raise serious doubts about Melly's involvement in the crime. Supporters of Melly have echoed his mother's concerns, arguing that the jail is treating him unfairly. They claim he has been denied access to basic rights, including regular communication with loved ones. According to his family, his phone access has been cut off. His letters are being withheld, and his mail is sometimes never delivered to him at all. His mother has stated that this type of treatment is not just unfair, it is inhumane. She believes Melly is being singled out and punished far beyond what is legally allowed for someone who has not yet been convicted. The defense team is also using these jail conditions as part of their push to secure bond. They argue that the jail's actions are interfering with Melly's ability to participate in his own defense and are violating his rights. By bringing these issues to light, they hope to convince the court that Melly would be better served by being placed under strict house arrest, where he could prepare for trial in a safer and more stable environment. As the case moves forward, Melly's mother continues to stand by his side, determined to speak up when others stay quiet. Her message remains clear. Her son deserves fair treatment, just like anyone else facing charges. Until then, she says she will not stop fighting for his rights, or calling out the system she believes is failing him. To support the idea that this was a drive-by shooting, the defense also pointed out that no gun was ever found. They believe the attackers drove off with the weapon, which explains why it was never recovered. One investigator said clearly, "We didn't have the firearm, so we couldn't run any tests to match it." But the situation becomes more troubling if Bortland sits next to Melly during the next trial. Prosecutors can then use Bortland's original interrogation against Melly because back then, Bortland told police a version of events that did not line up with the facts. He claimed he was playing music and driving when shots suddenly rang out. "I ducked down," he said. "Almost crashed the car." Officers asked him where he had come from, and he said the studio in Fort Lauderdale, taking I-595 and then I-75 south. But investigators found holes in his story. They had searched the area he described shoulder to shoulder and did not find a single shell casing, no broken glass, nothing that matched what he said happened. The officers began pressing harder, pointing out that he seemed to be hiding the truth. "These were your close friends, right?" one officer asked. "Then why not tell us the truth?" Bortland insisted he was telling the truth, but his frustration started showing. "I already told y'all my story," he said angrily. "I don't even want to talk about it no more." Officers reminded him that they were trying to solve the case and that his help could make a difference, but he became more upset as the questions continued. Trying to calm things down, the officers changed the topic, asking about his driving. "Did you crash into anything?" they asked. Bortland, growing more defensive, said he was too busy ducking bullets and trying to stay alive to notice anything else. "I'm driving, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And y'all talking about some expletive I don't know," he said. The officers responded by explaining that if a shooting really happened where he claimed, there should be clear physical evidence, broken windows, shell casings, anything. But there's nothing, they told him. One officer even hinted that he had his own idea about what really happened, based on information he had gathered. With time running out in the interview, the officer finally asked Bortland directly, "If you know who did this, would you tell us?" This question hung in the air, heavy and direct, as the room fell silent, highlighting just how serious the situation had become for both Bortland and Melly. The officer looked at Bortland and asked him directly, "If you knew who did this, would you tell me?" He explained, "Even if it is something I do not want to hear, I respect the truth more than lies. It is a simple question, yes or no. Just be honest." But instead of giving a clear answer, Bortland hesitated. He shook his head slightly, avoiding a firm yes or no. He seemed nervous, like he was afraid his voice might crack if he lied on. That would instantly give him away. Even though his words were uncertain, the truth started coming to light through other evidence. One big clue was a text message sent by Melly just hours after the murders. Someone using the PC Gambino account asked if he was okay. Melly replied, "I did that," followed by a smiling emoji. It was a chilling message. Another message followed shortly after from Melly's own account, simply asking, "What?" Even more disturbing was a video saved on Melly's phone. In it, Melly and Bortland are seen laughing and having fun just hours after Sakai's juvie had been killed. Melly could be heard saying things like, "Still turned, no matter what happened," staying upbeat and positive as if nothing had happened. But what really exposed the deeper motive behind the murders came from someone who used to be close to the group, a former O-Block member. He shared that Melly no longer wanted to split his money with the rest of the YNW crew. He said Melly had grown tired of it and felt like his friends were trying to pressure or even extort him for money. The former member recalled how King Von once got upset after he made a post revealing what Melly had told him. Von was angry, asking, "Why would you put that out there?" The man responded, "You know the love we all had, and now you are mad at me for being honest." He explained that Melly never came right out and said, "I am going to do something to them." But it was clear from his words and actions that there was tension. "You know when someone says something without actually saying it?" he said. He believed Melly felt betrayed and saw Sakaizer and Juvie as people who were no longer loyal but instead were trying to take advantage of him. So when you put all of this together, the shaky answers during the police interview, the text message confession, the celebratory video, and the financial tension within the group, a disturbing picture starts to form. It becomes harder and harder to ignore what might have really happened that night.